I never expected that my sister's wedding would turn into a public scandal, but that's exactly what happened. My name is Ava. I'm 28 years old, and my sister Mia is 25. We grew up close, always sharing secrets, dreams, and even clothes. I was the responsible one, working hard, while Mia was the carefree younger sister who everyone adored. My parents always favored her a little more, but I told myself that was normal. Family dynamics are never perfect. When Mia told me she was engaged to Ethan, I wanted to be supportive even though I never liked him. He had a certain arrogance, always making snide comments about my job, my single status, and my independence. Still, I smiled through it for Mia's sake. When she started planning her wedding, I offered to help. She thanked me, but slowly stopped including me in the details. Every time I asked how things were going, she brushed me off with short answers like, "Mom's handling it," or "We're still deciding." I figured she was just overwhelmed. Then one day, I overheard my parents whispering about a bank loan for the wedding. I didn't think much of it until a few weeks later, when I received a call from my bank about a $25,000 loan under my name. My heart dropped. I never applied for any loan, and I'm careful with money. When I went to the bank, they showed me documents with my name and signature. But the signature wasn't mine. Someone had forged it. I called my parents immediately, and after a tense silence, my dad confessed. They had taken the loan in my name to help pay for Mia's wedding. He said, "You earn more than your sister, and family helps family." My mom added, "You should be proud to do this for her." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I told them this was fraud, not help. When I threatened to go to the police, my mom began crying, saying, "Would you really ruin your sister's special day over money?" That sentence broke me. I told them they had crossed a line and that I wanted nothing to do with the wedding. They tried guilt-tripping me, but I stood firm. I blocked calls for a few days just to breathe. I thought maybe they'd realize how wrong they were and cancel everything. But a few weeks later, I got the biggest shock of my life. A coworker came to my desk and showed me a viral TikTok video. The caption read, "Groom loses control during ceremony." When I looked closer, I froze. It was Mia's wedding. My own sister's wedding that I hadn't even been invited to. The video showed her standing beside Ethan, smiling nervously as they exchanged vows. Then suddenly, he slapped her across the face. The sound was loud, and the entire crowd gasped. The clip ended right there, but the damage was done. Millions of views, thousands of comments. People were tagging news outlets and debating whether it was staged. I couldn't believe what I was watching. My hands were shaking when I tried calling my parents. They didn't answer. Then my mom sent a short text. "Please don't say anything online. We're handling it privately." I wanted answers, so I called Mia. She ignored my calls for 2 days, then finally picked up. Her voice was shaky. I asked what happened. She said, "It's not as bad as it looks." She claimed Ethan got upset because one of her exes showed up and that he thought she had invited him to cause drama. She said he just snapped. I was speechless. I told her that wasn't love, that no one who respects you hits you in front of everyone. She kept defending him, saying, "He's just stressed. Things got out of hand." I hung up crying. My parents had hidden everything from me, stolen my identity to fund this nightmare, and now they wanted to bury the truth. That night, I decided I wasn't staying silent anymore. I went to the bank again, filed a formal fraud report, and hired a lawyer. It was painful because it meant my parents might face consequences, but I had no choice. I needed to protect myself. Days later, things spiraled fast. More people started posting about the wedding. Screenshots and stories appeared online, claiming that Ethan had yelled at Mia during the rehearsal dinner too. Someone leaked that he had a past incident involving violence with a previous girlfriend. It all made sense now. Mia had hidden the truth about him from everyone, maybe even from herself. Local news picked up the story. Ethan was arrested a week later for domestic assault. When that happened, my parents finally called, begging me to stay quiet. They said, "Please don't drag this further. It's a family issue." But I told them the family issue began when they forged my name and kept me out of the wedding. I didn't owe them my silence anymore. I focused on clearing my name legally. It took weeks of paperwork, meetings, and stress, but eventually, the bank confirmed that my signature was forged. The loan was canceled and removed from my record. It was a huge relief, though it didn't erase the emotional damage. I learned that my own parents could betray me without hesitation for appearances and pride. Meanwhile, Mia finally left Ethan after he was arrested. She moved to stay with our aunt in another state and started therapy. One day, she called me out of the blue, crying. She said, "I'm so sorry for everything. I didn't know how bad it would get. I should have listened to you." I told her I forgave her, but that trust would take time. She admitted that our parents pressured her to keep quiet and make excuses. I told her she didn't owe them her silence either. Now, things are calmer. I've gone no contact with my parents. They send long emails filled with guilt and excuses, but I don't respond. I realized I'm done being the family's safety net. I used to think being a good daughter meant always helping, always forgiving, but now I know that real love has boundaries. Sometimes at night, I still replay everything in my head. The shock of seeing that video, the betrayal of discovering the forged loan, the fear of losing my family. But then I remember the strength it took to stand up for myself. I didn't ruin anything. They did. I just stopped covering for them. It's strange how life works. The same wedding I was excluded from ended up revealing every hidden truth. My parents' lies, my sister's denial, the reality behind their perfect family image. I wasn't invited because deep down, they knew I would see through the act. They knew I'd notice the red flags they were trying to ignore. Now, months later, the viral clip is mostly gone, though sometimes it resurfaces online with comments like, "That poor bride," or "She deserves better." I don't engage. I've learned peace is more valuable than being right. Mia is still healing, but she's stronger now. She's in counseling and has started working again. We talk once a week. It feels like we're rebuilding something real this time, without lies, without manipulation. As for me, I've started therapy too. I needed to understand how people I loved could justify betraying me. The answer wasn't simple. They cared more about control than connection. They valued appearances over honesty. Once I accepted that, it became easier to let go. Sometimes people say family is everything, but I've learned that's not always true. Family should be a source of safety, not fear. Family should protect you, not exploit you. And if they choose betrayal, you have the right to choose distance. In a way, not being invited to that wedding was a blessing. It saved me from standing in that crowd, pretending everything was perfect while my sister was about to marry a man who would humiliate her in front of the world. It saved me from being a silent participant in their deception. I think about the phrase my dad used that day, "Family helps family." Now I see how twisted that was. Helping someone doesn't mean letting them destroy your life. Supporting someone doesn't mean losing your self-respect. Sometimes, love means walking away. Mia once told me she envied how strong I was. But the truth is, strength isn't about being fearless. It's about choosing yourself even when it hurts. It's about saying no to people who taught you never to. I still love my family, but I love myself more now. And that's something I never thought I'd say. Today, I'm rebuilding my finances, repairing my credit, and focusing on my peace. My lawyer handled the final paperwork to close the fraud case, and the bank officially cleared me of any responsibility. It feels like starting over from zero, but in a good way. Mia and I plan to meet during the holidays at our aunt's place. She told me she wants a fresh start, and I told her she deserves one. Sometimes, life gives you a painful wake-up call through chaos and humiliation. But in the end, it reveals who truly stands with you. I wasn't invited to my sister's wedding, but I was given something far more valuable, the truth. And while the truth hurt, it also set me free. So, if you've ever been betrayed by family, remember this. You're not heartless for protecting yourself. You're not selfish for saying no. You don't owe loyalty to people who use love as a weapon. Forgiveness is for peace, not permission. I've learned that boundaries are love in its truest form, love for yourself. Now when I look back, I don't see loss. I see liberation. I see the moment I stopped being the silent one and started being the strong one. I see a future where my peace matters more than appearances. And that future starts now.